Hey PTSD buddies. So we're going to do another PTSD buddy chat, and today we're with Steph. And Steph is a special guest because Steph is also the admin for PTSD Buddies USA. There she is. How you doing, Steph?
Good. How about you?
Not pretty good, pretty good. How's life down in Florida? Nice and hot, I suppose.
Very hot,
Yeah.
very humid, and raining. It's like, I'd say about 95, 96, about 95% humidity and drizzling.
Oh, how
I'm
many?
outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My
Nothing like sitting on the porch having smoke.
backyard looks like Sanford and Sons.
Well, I thank you very much for joining me today. I know you're a busy lady. Well, Steph, before we start, why don't we talk about Steph, uh, I guess years ago when maybe you want to talk about before PTSD entered your life, or did you want to talk about when PTSD first entered your life?
Okay.
Or do you want to give
Uh,
us a background on who you are?
sure. I have to start with my first memory. So I'm going to say that's roughly around 3 or 4 years old. My first really traumatic event was my dad used to travel for work.
Yep.
But had to travel by vehicle because he also had commercial trucks, and his employees drove them, and we would travel the country before I was school age.
Okay.
It's a long story what he did. We weren't in the circus or anything, but we had to travel. So,
Spent a lot of time in the car, eh?
yeah, yeah, sometimes. So we were on we were going Midwest in the U.S., and we were on one of those, like super highways,
Yep.
and a tractor was in the shoulder eating some dinner or whatever at a truck stop, and I was about 3 years old. And I was sleeping. We were traveling through the night, and I was sitting on the floor. We were in a Lincoln, like a big car. I was sitting on the floor with my head on the seat. Well, the guy didn't have his emergency brake on. So the tractor trailer came rolling back, and we're driving 65 miles an hour, and it was on a hill. So it came back and hit us head on.
Holy.
Wheel came off, etc. Well, the back window came down and shattered on my head and knocked me out.
Holy
Um,
moly. You're only
that,
3 years old.
yeah,
Oh.
2 years old. Everybody lived, but everybody got really messed up.
Yeah.
And then, so as I had shared the other day in my other video, my dad was a very violent person. So the steering wheel comes off into my dad's mouth. He gets out of the car, and one of his styles was to keep a tire iron underneath the car seat, or
Okay.
a tire checker, just in case, for those random moments, not for mechanical purposes.
Yep.
um, so he goes into the Howard Johnsons with blood like all coming down his face and everything, and goes and beats the guy senseless. And the EMTs and everybody's there. And of course, they arrest my father. Like, who does these things? and,
An angry person.
and the rest of the family goes to the hospital. So that's the first thing that I remember. But also, my dad used to beat my mother, and pretty badly. And it was usually after I would have gone to bed. So she would my name, and I would be in my bed sleeping for me to come out, like the sky was falling kind of thing.
Right.
And I'd come running out, and he'd be hitting her, and he would stop. So,
He would never hit her in front of you.
right,
Okay.
yeah. He was protective of his children. Definitely, he loved us, but in a warped kind of way. my dad was old school, and I think he felt that as long as he provided for you and provided well,
Yeah.
you have nothing to complain about.
Right. Yeah. Old school.
Right. So, my mom finally left him when I was 11. I have a younger sister. She's 5 years younger than me. I have older siblings, but they were already out of the house, and they were by my dad's first marriage. So they weren't living with us when I was born.
Okay.
I had shared today that my dad was 44 and my mom was only 14 when I was born.
Whoa, that's
So,
a big age difference.
in fact, I have a sister that's my mom's age. Well, my mom's, but yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, um, fast forward to 5 years old, I go to school, and this is when my first like behavioral issue surfaced.
How old were you?
5. I go to
Five.
the kindergarten. You know, I don't know if you guys have that all across the world or not, but that's what you do in the U.S. It's kind of like you go to elementary school. It's your first time at primary school. You're 5 years old.
Yeah.
So my mom drops me off because it was a big day. She didn't want to do the bus thing and all that. And they really psyched me up, prior to like, yay, it's your first day of school. You're going to love it. You know, well, I get there and I'm bright and early and I got my name tag on and everything. And a little girl pushed me aside and um, insisted on being first in line, in other words. So I walked, my mom had already left, and I walked home. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
I walked 4 miles home on a 45-mile-an-hour road all by myself at 5 years old.
5 years old, and you walked home.
And I was outside of the house because my mom had locked the door and everything. I couldn't get in, and I was screaming. And she goes, "What the heck?" Looked like she had seen a ghost. She goes, "What the heck are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And she, naturally took me back. And my first day of school, the principal had me in the office screaming because, it's a legal obligation to be there. But I wasn't having any part of that. In my little head, I guess I figured that was going to be like my safe place, school.
Yep. Yep. And it backfired, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe you walked home that far at that age.
I did a lot of really bizarre things as a kid. One time I was on a fourth floor apartment building, high rise, at a
Yeah.
friend's house, and my mom was there. It was my mom's friend, and I was, I don't know, 7, I guess, and I got on the other side of the balcony, and I was dangling. I was holding on with one arm and had one leg attached to the balcony, and the other was just hanging out into the air, suspended. And
What?
my mom died, and I go, "Mom!" And she comes out, and I said, "Look at me!" And she, because one false move, if she startled me or whatever, or yelled at me, I could have let go.
Yeah.
And that, but I don't know. I guess I was trying to sneak. I was acting out. I guess when you're little like that, you don't know how to process things.
Yeah, you were.
I don't.
I don't know if you call it fearless or looking for
I'm
attention,
I'm
but
still fearful.
my God, I'm a father, so I think I would lose my mind if I see my kid doing that.
I think I've been in survival mode, Jamie, to be honest with you, for as long as I can remember. So I've like become like a master at it, and I'm very fearless.
Yeah.
What I've seen so many things, between, rape, beatings, my deaths, my sister's car accident, which nearly, killed her. Like, I don't think anything really surprises me anymore. So that's the only thing I haven't just as a murder. So that's kind of sad, but um, it's my reality, excuse me. And so I guess that would obviously startle me, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing story. So how old are you now? Not now, but how old were you when all this was going on?
I was in grammar school at 11. My mom finally left my dad. My mom had never worked or anything, so it was a bold move on her part.
Growing up, did you
Because
ever question your mom and the age difference or anything, or did you just
it was my normal Jamie, like I didn't know. You know what I
yeah
mean?
yeah?
Uh, Nobody ever me either.
No, because that was my next question. You know, I mean, growing up with friends and everything, did any of your friends ever question? I mean, you
No,
as the kid probably didn't really care because that's just your parents. But you know,
right.
did your friends ever question it?
Well, yeah, and plus, since my mom left at 11, when I was 11, the majority of my friends that would come over and visit at that point, dad wasn't side by side with my mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They weren't together, so I didn't really get asked that. I did get, people would say, "Wow, your mom looks young," and I would just be like, "Thanks." You know what I mean? Like good for
yeah,
her age, kind of
yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. Well, when did like signs of PTSD start showing in your life?
I really think that PTSD began when I was young. It started really manifesting at 13. My dad, for some reason, I'm hitting puberty now, which is like again really creepy because now I'm entering the age that my mom was when, right?
Yeah,
He's he starts calling me names, like really horrible names, like whore and stupid, and he would make me answer him too. Like,
you're
"What are you, stupid?" And then he would like wouldn't stop badgering him until I would actually answer him.
yeah,
And to this day, when I'm in the car, because this happened frequently in the car because you can't escape, in the car.
no,
I would head to the out to look out the window because I would be crying, because it was killing me. But he
yeah,
didn't care. So I would look out the window and he would say, "Stop talking to the windows, you're mumbling." And so even to this day, people tease me and call me a low talker and stuff like that. And it's because of that.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
try to be aware that I'm not doing that.
yeah. I can get that. Yeah.
So at that point, my school started noticing. I would give my mom a hard time about going to school because in my mind, I felt like as a kid. In retrospect, I felt like I was transparent, and I think all kids do. To be honest, kids think like that's why kids can get bullied because kids think that other kids can see things that they can't. Like they can see right through them, like they're invisible, like what's going on in life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Uh, Yeah, so I would like make up every illness known to man every morning to not go to school. So I missed 52 days in 1 year. So the school system had a child study team made of a psychiatrist, psychologist, and they like basically made it like a legal mandate to evaluate me.
Okay.
And back then, they didn't like mandate that I go to counseling, and they didn't say that I had PTSD. They said that I was emotionally disturbed.
Emotionally disturbed.
And they sent me to a alternative school
Okay.
at out of mainstream, and it was basically like a school where they taught you like It was like a disciplinary, school measure kind of thing. And I remember thinking, great, I'm being punished for being punished.
Yeah.
Like, does it end? And
Yeah.
I yeah. I went back to regular school, but I think this is dating up about 1979 when that happened,
Okay. Yeah.
and still dealing with Vietnam, and that's the only rumor of PTSD that's buzzing around at all. And even then, people were barely believing them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you had no one to talk to.
and I didn't know why I couldn't put my finger on it, so to speak. I didn't know how to vocalize, um, no, that
You're
it wasn't
probably
a.
you're probably also scared like wondering who to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was a really nice lady, and I loved her, but she was a little intimidating just because I think she felt that she needed to be tough on me, not physically or anything, but that she'd lose me, because of the abuse, and basically my dad was rejecting me on top, that's hard on a kid. I
Oh,
mean,
definitely. I
it
mean,
was basically like him, he hated me.
yeah. I mean, this your parents. I mean, a child looks up to their parents for safety and love and comfort, and you were getting none of that. If anything at all, you were getting put down.
Right, and I was definitely one of those kids that was going to be, when I turned a teen. I was hitchhiking. Like, I would have been in California or as far as I could have gone and ran away because if my mom hadn't been so, like, helicopterish, and always knowing exactly what I was doing and where I was and everything and sitting on me, basically.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah.
You think she was
So, but
trying to
I,
protect you?
pardon?
You mean like trying? She was trying to protect you?
My mom in her own way, yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's silent abuse, Jamie, when you do nothing at all.
Yep. You almost feel like they don't care.
I love my mom, and I didn't see that until recently, honestly, until she was deceased and everything, and I was able to really look back at things. I was like, she could have demanded through legal channels that I not be forced to go with him and just gotten child support. Like,
Yeah.
she was like to be abused, and I would cry. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. One time he did hit me because she told me to tell him a fib. It was a small fib about he would always ask me questions about her personal life.
Right.
Like, hate me. And so she told me to tell him XYZ. Well, what are you going to do when you're a kid, And of course, he was the bad guy. So
Yeah.
I will follow good or the direction. Well, he was taping her conversations. So I got caught in the lie.
Yeah.
And he beat me really badly and kept punching my back and punching my back. I was on the floor. And I was only like 12.
Unbelievable.
And
Yeah.
he beat me. And my poor little sister was the only one there, and she didn't know what to do.
No.
And my mom's working by now. I walked to her job with like welts all over me, obviously crying. I still had to go back. I didn't go to an emergency room. I didn't anything.
Wow. You just had to walk home.
It's just, yeah,
Unreal. My God.
yeah. So, other traumatic things also followed me through adulthood. I got married at 22 because I married the first person that asked me, to be honest, because I just wanted to get out of my parents' house.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I can only imagine. Yeah. You want to get out of there.
it wasn't a money thing. It was like I was like the scapegoat. I was the protector of my sister because if it's not me, it's going to be turned to her.
Yeah.
And she was left out of it for the most part, 90% of the time. So I felt that it was my job because the adults weren't doing theirs.
No, no.
Uh, you know.
You had to look after you, and you just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, so when she was in a drunk driving accident when she was 15 and I was 19. And I had an argument with her just before with my little sister. And her best friend hit a tree 85 miles an hour. She has a really bad brain injury. She functions at she's like 12 years old.
Yeah.
She's 40 now.
Oh, wow.
She walks with a limp. She's really bad. And I couldn't protect her the first time ever. Plus, I argued with her. So for years, I felt like I wished it had been me.
Yeah.
My parents were so messed up that they didn't even go to the hospital for 3 weeks while she sat there in a coma.
Really?
I can't handle it. I can't handle seeing her like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, so maybe that, you can understand maybe a little bit more why I don't have much fear. It's like it's been my history that I've had to walk through it so much that, because it was the only choice I had, I mean, you were a soldier. I mean, I'm sure that you also had those situations like, I don't want to, but it's the only choice I have.
Of course, yeah.
So you say to yourself, okay, suck it up.
Suck it up and get through it, yeah.
Deep breath, suck it up.
Yeah, I totally understand that, yes. So you ended up getting married. What was life any better after you got married?
Sorry, Jamie. Hang on. Can you see me?
I can, yep.
Okay, I got a phone call, so I can't see you right now.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Do you need to go?
No, I didn't take the call, but I lost your video connection. I can't see you.
Okay. Well, I'm still here.
Okay.
So you say you got married. Was the married life any better?
No. My ex-husband, he's a nice guy and everything. But he was kind of, I would call him passive aggressive.
Okay.
Where he paranoid about another guy like swooping me up. And I thought that that's what married life was like, because what happened was he would always ask me how long I was going to be. Like, I couldn't be separated and on my own, like even at the grocery store for very long without being feeling pressured about my timing.
Really, yeah. Sounds like he's been cheated on before.
He's insecure, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we had a child, and he had asthma, and he was born with it. I got you back, and it was, and so we got pregnant really fast. I mean, as soon as we were married, we didn't care if we got pregnant or not. You know what I mean? We did, and so 2 years in, so now we have a baby that's a year old that's sick. Plus, he's constantly doing that to me. I'm running to pharmacies for the baby, just to, the grocery store, and to work. And that was it. And he was like always spazzing out. And finally, I would just start crying. I was like, why do you do this to me? And I've never given you any reason to doubt me. And he goes, it's not you that I don't trust. It's the guys out there. Oh, okay. So...
Yeah.
So eventually, it just got to me, and I started standing up to him. And I started saying, when he would say, how long are you going to be? I'd say, well, as long as it takes me to do 13 aisles on the stock boy, then I'll be back. He was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
He was, because he had a psychological hold on me. But I was so tired of those psychological holds, Jamie, that I couldn't take them anymore, you know?
No. No.
So I, I started, I thought it was funny, you know what I mean? I started to find humor in it, and that's how I cope. Um, Still,
Yep.
and I, good medicine, and he didn't think it was funny. So, the more I stood up to him, I didn't do anything mean or I didn't leave him or anything like that.
No.
I
Well,
just,
according to your story and everything, you're a pretty tough lady. So you weren't going to take any crap, I guess, from anybody.
yeah,
Yeah. You're.
that's a,
Sorry. Go ahead.
it's a good trait and a bad trait, because I don't think I'm as sensitive to some people's issues, maybe, or to certain people than maybe I should be. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
Here's my main dilemma with. Go ahead. You have a question for me?
no, no. Go ahead. No, keep going.
My main dilemma with PTSD is that my family and the people in my close network don't really understand it.
Yeah.
They don't understand why, like, I don't sleep and why sometimes I get a little short fused, which I'm not proud of, but when the stress is too much for me,
Yeah.
as aging, I have less and less of a tolerance for it.
What kind of symptoms of the PTSD do you show? Like, I know myself, anger is my big thing. I tend to snap for no reason. What about
I
you?
have,
What kind of signs do you have?
well, I have that. That was getting pretty bad. Actually, I went to the doctor finally, and really, I went and demanding answers because I couldn't tolerate it, and I couldn't tolerate being angry anymore and what I was doing to the people around me. I was like a loony, like screaming sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
I am. So it was like scaring me,
Yeah.
and making it really bad. Once I like get my head cleared up and everything, and I was, my blood pressure would go crazy, and I don't even have high blood pressure.
Yep.
It's just a symptom of the PTSD for me. And I would feel my blood boil, like because someone was doing something as I perceived as a violation
Yep. I
of
get
some,
that. I get that.
yeah,
Dominique
whether it was.
says, Steph, Dominique says, sometimes I think my wife forgets that I have issues. And I can relate to that, what Dominic is saying. Sometimes, there's certain people in my bubble that I have told about my PTSD, and there have been moments in my life where I kind of question, do you remember that I don't like crowds? Why are you asking me to go to the mall? You know I don't like crowds. Why are you even bothering me like this, right? So when I say no, then I kind of feel bad. So I kind of understand what you and Dominique are talking about.
I don't like either, and I've been like that for a long time. Like I will park, like say if I need to go to Macy's, I'll park right outside of Macy's and only go right in and then only out. You know what I mean? Instead of going through the mall.
Oh
I
yeah.
never, and that was before the actual diagnosis and everything. I have a feeling it may be far fetched. It's just a gut feeling. I think that I pick up the mixed energy in the mall of the people.
Could be. I have driven into the parking lot and said, "Nope, not going in because it looks like there's too many cars in the parking lot, and there's too many cars in the parking lot. There's too many people inside." So I've done that, right?
It's like this overwhelming feeling of like being uneasy,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It's almost like you're
Because,
expecting something bad to happen, so you got to be out of the way and away from everything, right? Because
yeah.
you don't want to be around when that bad thing happens.
Oh, and my latest thing is now I break out into like sweats.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the lovely beaded mustache and everything, and everyone around me is perfectly fine. But inside, for some reason, I have some kind of a thought in my head that's triggering me,
Yep.
but I'm not vocalizing it. So, yeah, I just physically show it all over the place. It's so embarrassing. Luckily, I live here in Florida, so I guess they figure.
Well, Steph, you're still kicking it. I mean, you've been dealing with PTSD for a while. I mean, is there a grounding technique, or is there something you can accredit to your? I mean, like I like to call you a PTSD survivor. That's what I call myself, and that's what I've had people call me. I mean, we've had PTSD for a while in our lives, and we've learned to deal with it. What can you credit that to?
Surviving? Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Like me myself, if it wasn't for my family and my kids' support, I know I wouldn't be here. They're the reason why
That,
I'm
that,
able to beat it.
well, sorry about the dog. That's my neighbor. I say that a lot, and it's kind of morbid, but I have two sons that I love with everything in me, and they're grown now. I have one that's 31 and one that's 27, and I have a grandbaby on the way.
Ah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. She's due next month. So, but if it were not for my sons, I would have taken the ambient highway. I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, no, I
I've thought it
yeah,
many times.
I've been there myself. I have been there myself.
I don't suggest that, and but they were my reason to say just one more day. When you wake up tomorrow, it's going to be better. Or they were my reason to say, if I need to be in the hospital right now, you need to go,
Yeah,
because they will be devastated, and I don't want them to ever. I'm going to pass eventually, but my job has always been, it was going to be hell or high water that they were ever going to have any kind of dysfunction that I
yeah,
had. And they are perfectly functioning adults, educated, well adjusted. So if I thought, it was worth it in a way.
yeah.
You
Do they live
that's how
close? Are they still in a close enough vicinity that you can visit?
I have to fly to see them now,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, they live up north and I'm down here. I moved down here about 5 years ago when the youngest was in college because I wasn't seeing them very much anymore, and um, just because they had their own lives.
Yeah.
And parents had passed, so I was kind of in a funk, and I didn't like the cold anymore. So I had a relative down here, and I had shared the other day that I had been in the psych hospital, and I was doing so badly because I had no support around me at all, and I lived by myself. So that was like not a really good,
Yep.
thing. And
Yep.
plus, I just had a fire, and I had burns, and I had to be on life support, and that was it was a trauma. But believe it or not, Jamie, by the time that happened, I was so used to bad things happening that it didn't faze me that much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
You've
was,
been preparing for it your whole life. Yeah.
yeah, but I was dissociating a lot at that point, like forgetting, losing periods of time.
Yep.
So, when you're alone, that's dangerous, potentially,
Yeah.
because I could be in a dangerous situation. I could light my stove. I could do anything.
Well, you're
I
alone
could.
with your thoughts, and your thoughts can sometimes be your worst enemy.
Yeah, so I went into the hospital, and when I had the fire, they actually made it mandatory because they said nobody. I had a psychiatrist at the foot of my bed, and I didn't know who he was because he had regular clothes on, not the white coat and all that. And I
Yep.
said, so he visitor, and I was like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm so so." And I said, why are you here? And he goes, no one walks away from what you just did at 100%. And I was like, well, you don't know my history. Like, I mean, this is just another thing. But the way I cope, Jamie, primarily is that I look for the silver lining. And I think that's a really important message because I think in every negative situation, there's a silver lining. I'm a big believer that things do happen and things come in our path for a reason. And if it's to gain wisdom, if it's to pass it on to help another person, to prevent something from happening to them, then that's the reason.
And
You
you're
know what I
doing
mean?
that, I'm telling you, you're doing that in PTSD Buddies. I see it almost every day.
Hey, thanks.
We're
Well,
almost,
and now, yeah,
we're pretty much out of time here, Steph. But before we go, if you had a message or if you had something to pass on to our viewers, what would it be?
uh, I would see one. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Don't be afraid to confide in someone. Just be careful who it is,
Yeah.
because some people use your vulnerabilities against you. As far as the grounding techniques, I think being outdoors is an excellent, and nature is an excellent distraction because all the senses are going on. Smell, sight, sound. It's quick.
Yeah.
You need it quickly, get yourself outside and engaged in an activity. You will get out of your head, guaranteed, in my opinion.
Well, it's been proven sunlight and nature is a big thing for a better mood.
And at nighttime, what helps me for a terror is to look at my hands.
I've heard of that one,
It,
yeah.
yeah, it brings me back into reality.
Do you run cold water over your hands when you do it? Because I heard that works
I,
too.
I don't get out of bed.
Okay.
Jamie, they happen like 4 times a night, 5 times a night. It's like,
Oh, this is during
it,
night. Okay, yes, yes. I
it,
don't.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. It's like sleep is such a valuable thing because it's like it's so choppy.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't realize
I,
you meant during the night. Yeah, I wouldn't want you to get a bit.
oh, I can, sometimes I'll grab ice during the day right out of the freezer. That's another thing I do
Yeah, that's a good
because
one.
it, yeah, it makes you can't think of anything else but that.
Yep,
They
that's a
work.
good one. That's a good one to make a video on. Well, Steph, thanks so much for joining me, Steph. But I know we got a lot more we could talk about, but we're just out of time. So if you're willing, I'd love to have another chat with you at another time.
Absolutely.
All right? All right, thanks so much, and we'll talk again real soon.
Okay, Jane.
Cheers.
See ya.
All right, that's another episode of PTSD Buddy Chat. Thanks a lot, Steph, for joining me. Steph runs, like I told you, PTSD Buddies USA. If you want to get into that group, just type in PTSD Buddies USA on Facebook and you'll find it. All right, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like all our videos. The more subscribers we got, the more videos we can make. And if you want to leave a comment for anything for Steph, any tips, I'm sure she'd love to read any of your comments. And if you wanted to do a PTSD Buddy chat with me, don't forget, all you got to do is send me a private message on Facebook and we'll hook something up. Okay? Cheers, everybody.